Hi, this is Jason from Sweaty Heroes Comic Bargains, and here is a pile of DC comic books. Majority of them from the '90s, and yeah, most of them from the '90s. So we will. I'm going to start off with some of this stuff first. So we got the Savage Dragon from the New 52 era, and this one is done by Rob Liefeld. He did the story for this, the plot in the story, not the art though. It's interesting. I don't know if he did anybody did do the cover. Kind of interesting to see Liefeld drawing Hawkman. That's fun. Prometheus was a character part of that fought the Justice League of America, and for a while he was really kind of cool actually. He basically had plans of how he could figure out how to destroy all the Justice League and their weaknesses. That's kind of cool. These are based on the TV show that a lot of people don't remember, a live action Superboy show that aired back in the late '80s. And it had Gerard Christopher as Superboy, and then they recast him, or vice versa, with John Newton, I believe. And these Superboy were kind of interesting in retrospect because drawn by Kurt Swan, who had done a lot of Superman and Superboy before, but these Superboy actually, the tone of these feel consistent with like the post-crisis Superman. So it's kind of interesting that they were around at a time where 1980s, 1990s Superman had no Superboy backstory, but these kind of fit that tone of how they probably would have been written in that era. But these were really well done and actually are a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed them. Think Clark Kent, the spectacular Superboy. That is kind of the vibe I got out of these. A lot of fun. The first issue had a photo cover too. Then we have Green Arrow by Brad Meltzer and Phil Mester. That looks kind of good. Legend of the Dead Earth was an annual crossover taking place on an alternate, and sort of like an Elseworld type thing. Yeah, Earth is dead. Taking place like 1,000 years from the future. Each one had a different story though, and this is one of those stories with Impulse. Mike Parlebeck did the artwork, and he was famous from Batman Adventures. Justice League Task Force is by Christopher Priest, and art by Ed Beans and Sal Valletto, with some more offshoot Justice League characters. That's kind of neat. Armageddon 2001 is one of my favorite DC crossovers, and it created Monarch. And the idea was that Wave Rider was this character from the future who was going back in time, trying to figure out who was going to become Monarch. And this is one of those crossovers. So it's probably one of the ones I have never read regarding him trying to see if Hawkman was who became Monarch. Then we have an issue of Teen Titans by Jeff Johns with a really great team here. Like you have a mix of characters from the '80s and '90s runs, and you have Superboy on the team and and other characters. Nightwing's a lot of fun. Oh, gotta do this so we can see each other. Ray was a really cool character that was popular for a minute in the '90s. Joe Quesada, who went on to destroy Spider-Man by doing One More Day, he drew this miniseries, and that Ray. This is part of Underworld Unleashed, which would Lord Neron and the Legion, basically of Hell, attacked the DC universe, and that was a cool event that DC did. I really enjoyed it. Another cool event was Invasion. I remember Invasion as one of the first events that I probably remembered. It was before I really picked up DC comic books. And so this is Captain Atom, and you can see all those DC heroes were involved in fighting in the invasion against the aliens. That was it was a cool storyline, actually. And yeah, I liked it. It was cool. Jonah Hex in the future was kind of weird. So I have an issue of that to pick up. Worlds Collide was a crossover between the DC characters and the Wildstorm. The DC characters and the Milestone characters, including Icon, Static, and others. And when they were DC was publishing those characters, and at the same time, Superman would just return from being dead, and he was having the battle for Metropolis, in which Metropolis was being destroyed by basically Lex Luthor's defense program that was originally meant to like protect against an attack in case someone wanted to make it into Coast City again, like just wipe it out. But this is a lot of fun. Never heard of this, but it is in the mainstream DC universe. Chain Gang War. That could be a lot of fun to read. And then we got a Guy Gardner Warrior comic that's set at Christmas time, which should be a lot of fun. I've read a couple of Guy Gardner Warrior, and despite the fact that yes, he's supposed to be a jerk, but that's part of the fun is that he's a jerk, but he does have a heart in the end, and I don't know. Guy Gardner is actually more interesting than you might think originally. Speaking of Guy Gardner and Green Lanterns, you have Green Lantern Corps Quarterly, and this is like a 64-page book that had many stories of the other Green Lanterns, including Alan Scott and Gnort, who looks like a dog, and then amongst other characters. And it's just all kinds of anthology series of different Green Lanterns. And we got an issue 3 here and an issue 4. An issue 4. So that's Green Lantern. So that's my DC Corpse comic bargain bin. Thanks.